Yeah, my name is Heun. I'm a consultant psychiatrist and editor of Global Psychiatry Archives. I'd like to explain the findings of the study of Singh et al., who have assessed perceived social isolation and resilience with mental health during the pandemic in Nepal. And the findings quite interesting, and I want to explain this paper and see whether you like the results. Anyway, so this is a study which focused on 415 participants from the University Medical School, and it assessed resilience in the isolation. They used different scales, and I'll just come to these. So the instruments were perceived isolation via an isolation scale consisting of 9 items. Some questions were: how often do you feel isolated from others? Do you have a lack of companionship? And how often do you feel left out? So then there is another study which looks at resilience. So and this is a study which assesses the ability to bounce back, and it's a brief resilience scale, which you may want to look up eventually. The mental health was assessed using a single question asking what would you say about your current mental health, and it went from excellent down to poor. So what the authors tried to do is assess the impact on the different variables on this outcome, the outcome being self-rated mental health. And they chose logistic regression, which is a statistical type of analysis to use the impact of several variables on one outcome variable. So they had different models. Initially, they took age. Come back to these models in a bit, but the most important model is model 4, which shows some outcome, which means that people who have a higher age at being at university are associated with a higher odds of having better mental health, which is quite impressive. So younger, feeling a bit lower. The odds of male students rating their mental health as excellent was twice higher than of female students. So gender plays a role. There's an interesting and, my view, unusual finding that people who had a personal device for communication, so their own computer, rated their mental health as excellence 2.3 times higher than those who didn't. And the most important questions, there was a positive association, was people who are less isolated, they had a better mental health. And the other ones have also, the ones who are more resilient are more likely to express their health as better. So there are quite a few variables to look at: gender, academic year of enrollment, internet, separate interconnections, separate room for communication, participation in stress management, online classes during pandemic, personal electronic device, I mentioned this, self-rated mental health status, and self-rating feeling of stress. So then come to the indicators. Perceived social isolation, that was an example, where how often can you open to your family members, how often can you rely on your family members, can you speak to your friends, and else. If you want to look at the details, you're very welcome to check this on www.globalpsychiatry.co.uk. I just loneliness questions, resilience questions, and other co-variables, as I mentioned before. And these are the statistical models. Initially, they went for a model where they're only influencing variables, not the variables as question, were introduced. And what comes consistently in all statistical models was that age was an important factor, as I said. Gender was an important factor in all models. And it was also so that personal device was a significant impact factor on the outcome. And if resilience was included in the model, it became clear that resilience is an important factor. If perceived isolation, that was also an important factor, and if they both were in, so what you can see that perceived isolation and resilience had a significant impact on the outcome, which is perceived mental health. So what was important was age, gender, access to a personal device, and isolation and resilience, and other factors didn't seem to have an impact on the perceived mental health, which was level of education, participation in stress management, or using of online classes. So in total, the study showed very clearly that, come to that here, this is a conclusion. It is during this COVID pandemic, it was very clear that social isolation has a negative impact and resilience has a positive impact on the perceived mental health. If you want to read this paper, as I said, www.globalpsychiatry.co.uk. And if you like such information, please like us and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for your interest, and I wish you a nice Sunday. Thank you.